if you've been around for any length of time, you've seen that I really do enjoy working with veneer, creating laminations, bent curves, and all of that. We've got a lot of video content on that. But to get into this, the modern method, the easiest method for doing this is to use a vacuum press. And it's an incredibly efficient way to pull and seal laminations or just veneer over a flat or curved form. You know, in the old days, they used to have these giant presses, which still exist, but for in your home shop, this is so simple and so easy. The technology is unbelievable what we have here today. So I've done a number of courses, and when I've done it, I've been explaining it because I wanted you to try it. And the cheapest way to try it is to use a manual bag system like this. This is what you get from Raw Rocket. It's a company that started out making skateboard kits to build your own skateboard. And to build the skateboard with the curved at the ends, they would provide you with 7 layers of 16th inch maple, and you would put it, after you've glued up between all the layers, you'd set it in this vacuum bag, and you'd wrap it with this mesh. And let me show you a bag that's already assembled. Now, I'm not making a skateboard. In fact, I've never used their bags for skateboards. I've used them for woodworking because they realized there was a lot of demand for woodworkers. And so now you can get your own bag like this with the gasket sealant like this, and you get this mesh which allows the air to evacuate from the bag. So you'll put your piece of work in there, put the mesh over the top, seal the bag. I'm not going to do the whole thing. We've done other videos with that. And then I usually use a vacuum to get a lot of the air out, but then you finish it by using this, which is like a reverse basketball pump. So when you lift your hand up, it's pulling the air out. So once it maxes out and pulls the vacuum, you're done. And this thing only costs like 75 bucks. But before I had this one, I had a powered system. I invested in this. I've had it for 25 years probably, and I cobbled mine together. So let me show you my old pump, and I'm going to actually bring a piece of material over and we'll pull a vacuum with my old system. Look at this crummy bag. It is just so dusty, but it's very functional. Now I've had probably 3 different bags, and this was one of the first, probably the second I got. And this is a vinyl bag. It's pretty thick, and it works well. It's the least expensive kind of bag you can buy. This is where a lot of the cost is. It's in the bag, in the size of the bag you get. So this is just fine, and I'm going to show you how a vinyl bag works. And I'm going to just put this piece in here. So this is different. If you notice, here's my pump down here. I've got a pump out in the open with a little filter, and the hose is even getting squished. It's not a good thing. And here's my hose attaches under the table. Now, instead of using mesh to evacuate the air, use this platen. It's just a piece of particle board with melamine on the top to resist glue sticking to it. And then a pipe fitting comes up through the bottom of the bag, and it's connected to all these grooves cut into the platen. Those are about 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch. And what those do is just allow these air to evacuate from the bag from below. So by having that there on the table, the air can always escape. Just like the mesh on the top, but you have no mesh to deal with. So it's pretty nice. Now, this is a pretty good sized bag. It's a 4 by, I think about a 5-foot bag or 6 feet. But the platen isn't quite that large. You can see the platen's probably about 42 by 50. All right, and so there we are. Once you get it into the bag, you just have to put on the enclosure parts, and it's a 2-part plastic thing with most of them. Now this is a small enough bag. It's sealed on all 3 sides except for this one end. So you're putting your material in one end like this. And I've done this so many times, I can't tell you, and I don't know if I'm any faster at it. All right, so now I'm going to pull the vacuum, and this bag, unfortunately, because it's vinyl, you can see I got a patch there. I know I've got various patches, and the seams don't hold up as well around the outside. They're like heat seams. Plus, just in use, you're going to ding it up and probably poke holes in it and whatnot. So I'm going to give this is my little aftermarket regulator. So I just kick this on, and we wait for the air to come out. Hear how loud that is? It's kind of annoying. Now it's pulling the vacuum, but I'm waiting. And if this were a real press, I would just try to generally make sure the bag is fairly flat and it's not going under the work at all or anything like that. So here it comes now. It's starting to, you can see it's starting to get smaller and smaller. And I do have some leaks in this, so it'll recycle faster than I would like, but wow, I had to take out a lot of air. I should have gotten out more. But this is how the pumps are judged in a way, like they're rated for how many cubic feet per minute they will pull. I'm not sure about this pump, but it's not super high. Look how tight this is. I've got a nice vacuum seal all around. Once it reaches full suction, which is around 25, you'd have it.
So Tom, did you say this already, what the CFM of this old vacuum pump is?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
I wish I did.
That's what you said.
Because I just got that pump. I remember I bought it for like $100 from a motor guy, and then I just got the hoses and that, and you know, it probably in hindsight it got me started, but I'm so glad that now I have something else to show you, and that, drum roll, is my new pump from Vacuum Pressing Systems.
Oh my gosh.
This is enclosed, so you can see it's pretty heavy because you've got the motor in there, but then you also have a built-in regulator which shuts off right when you want it to, and it's digital. So when we start this up, see, we get a little digital readout, and listen how quiet it is. It's significantly quieter, yeah. Right? The pumps still make noise, so you could put a blanket over it or something. But so here's the hose. It's a reinforced hose that will not compress, unlike my other chintzy ones. There's like a wire in there, and this end attaches to the vacuum press. Let's turn it around. And this came from Vacuum Pressing Systems in Maine, and Daryl Keel, who runs that with his son, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's been in this for as long as I can remember. So he's got a lot of great videos on his website, which will educate you about this if you want. There's 5 models of this. This is the second to largest. So this pulls 6 CFMs, which is quite strong and rapid. You could have multiple, like a manifold with several bags on it, or you could get the one larger. You really wouldn't need it, but you could. If you're only doing a little bit, and you know, it's okay. You can wait for the bag to suck down and get a smaller one like that. And you know, if your glue is not setting up super fast, that's the main thing. You don't have to wait that long for the pump. I know they're faster than that one anyway. So, but here it is, and here's the connector to the bag. But I'm really excited to show you the bag too, because it's huge, and I had a 4x8 bag, but this one has a very special feature. Two special features, actually. This is a 4x8 polyurethane bag. So Lupe was asking about this. It's just a much finer bag. It's way tougher than the vinyl. The seams are way better. And this one has a very special feature, which Daryl told me about. He said, you got to try the zipper bag. And I'm like, okay, what's a zipper bag? Well, instead of having the plastic enclosures, it actually zips all around. So here's the zipper. So I have this opening, but this is like an industrial vacuum sealed zipper. So watch this. I can go all the way down. I feel like I'm putting on my winter coat. and you can open it up all the way for full access, which is really handy when you have a larger item. You could have your form in the bag. Like I have done huge headboards before in my 8-foot bag, and I had to build it in such a way that I had my form out here, and I had it up on a table that was the same height as this, got all my veneers laminated on the form, and then I had to slide this massive form into the bag because it was only open on one end, and then close it up.
Oh, that is nice.
Here, you could already have your form in the space. You just put your material on it, and then you come and you zip. You get what you want in there, and you just zip it up.
That's great.
And you get a full seal. I'm going to put the pump down. This has already been set to shut off at 25. And this has a little nicer plug here. They send you with several plastic, like grommet type things that you have to cut into your platen. If you look closely here.
Okay.
So I've got one set in here, and it comes up from the bottom and it has saw marks right through it so that it's accessing the grooves in the panel. Like I said, Daryl has videos on the website. He does a really cool demonstration of the difference between polyurethane and vinyl, like for toughness, like trying to puncture it, because that's one of the things that can happen. It's not uncommon to get little holes in the bag at some point. You might accidentally cut it, and they do send you a patch kit, but you don't want it to break over the work. You may have a sharp edge or something like that. This is incredibly tough, and it has like no memory. So when you finish pulling a vacuum on the vinyl bag, if you had like a big mounded form in there, you take it off and you look at the bag and you can see the bag is in that shape of that form. It eventually relaxes and comes back, but polyurethane bags have no memory like that. So if you had a big form in there, once you pop off the air, the thing just goes right back to dead relax. And you can see that in the videos that he has. But I want to do a quick glue up. The first glue up, we're going to christen this bag and get it started. And I'm going to do a fairly straightforward panel.
Tom, Michael's curious, did the board come with the bag?
No, the board or the platen does not come with the bag.
Okay.
So that I had with my other bag. I just had to mount the grommet. So this has all the grooves in it, and you just build it for whatever size bag you buy. So think about how big a bag do you need. That's where the cost is, in the bag. And it is a little more expensive to get the zipper type. There's a lot of different options you can learn about on the site where you have like a sealed edge. I forget what they call these, but it's like you just open a lid and you can put your work in and drop the whole thing down and it will seal around a gasket. That's pretty nice too. All right, so we're gonna just get going here. And what I wanna do is glue these two panels together. So I want to make my own Actually, I want to make some 1-inch thick MDF. When I went to pick up some materials for the class that's coming up, I wanted some 1-inch thick, but they only had 1/2 inch. So I'm going with the, I'm taking 2 pieces of 1/2 inch and I'm going to just laminate them together to give us the 1-inch thickness. What I like to do with MDF is I just give it a quick scuff, like with a 150 grit. So I just take a 150 grit and scuff up the whole surface. Nothing major. I mean, the glue will hold probably if you didn't do that, but I just prefer to. And then once we get the glue on both these panels, I'm going to flip it over, and I have already taken a sanding block and I rounded the corners of this. So on this panel, I don't need any kind of caul. Usually I like to put a caul of 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch material over the top of the veneer, but we don't need a caul in this case because the MDF is its own caul. It's a 1/2 inch thick, so it will pull down really nicely. I think you'll see what I mean in just a second. Let's go ahead and get some glue on here. All right, so I'm just getting some glue on here. I know I didn't put enough yet, but I'm going to glue both surfaces. So you want to give yourself enough time to work with the glue to get it into the press and so it's going to be ready. So in this case, I'm just using like Titebond 3, which gives a lot of open time. I mean, for a PVA glue, anyway, it gives you a pretty good amount of open time.
By the way, I put a link to the veneer pressing systems.
Say hi to Daryl if you do end up getting one as a result.
Yeah.
I love them. I mean, this has been long researched from my part. I'm really happy to have one. But you know, the other thing is, I always also felt like having classes and doing videos on veneering, I wanted to start showing the pump more. And I thought it would be nice to have, a system that's already integrated and used and available. So by showing a system like vacuum pressing systems, you're seeing something that you could actually get if you wanted it. All right, that's plenty of glue. Yeah, I did have to start with a big one, didn't I? All right, so I've got my broken edges there, and we're going to go into the bag. This is not so big. I'm just going to slip it in the end, but I could have used the whole zipper advantage. But there, it's in, and the air would weep out of these grooves up through that bottom hole, but I do like to bring the workpiece down so that it's more exposed, just in case. All right, there we are. Wait, so once I've got it in position, now I'm just gonna zip the bag closed. It just makes me wonder. Nice. I know, and like that it's vacuum tight is what puzzles me. I thought it would be. I didn't think a zipper would work for this. So now we're gonna go under. You can see, I go under this little plastic flange here. See? It's like a rubberized, and you go in through that first. So that's a pretty snug fit.
Let your head on.
There's 2 others. I'm not sure why. It has 3, I guess. If one wears out in the future. And then it just pushes up. But there, now it's up into the flange and the table, and it's snug there, and we're ready to kick it on. We wanted to come up to 25. Okay, look at how fast that pulled. So that's 6. That was much faster. Yeah. Now I'm starting to feel the pressure in the bag, and we're getting that full vacuum pressure. 24. And it shut off right at 25. And then look, it's holding pretty steady. Just dropped slightly under 24, but check this out. So you see the slight bead of glue coming out, very slight all around, but there is atmospheric pressure on this panel right now. So you can estimate it at 14 per square inch, 14 pounds per square inch. So if somebody would do the math for me here.
You didn't.
Sorry, I didn't calculate this. I didn't nerd out about it. But it's 26 by 49.
Wow.
So multiply that times 14. And you have how many pounds of pressure, as if a giant weight was on top of this, equivalent to that. We know that it's like, for a square foot, it's over, it's like 2,000 pounds.
17,836,
Okay.
says Tim.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, so we are there.
Do
Now,
you have to worry about the boards shifting at all, Larry's asking? And I think Dean was asking that same question.
that is an issue in certain cases. You know, this, if you were really exacting about it, I would tape them together. Sometimes I'll pin nail in a place that's discreet where I don't have to worry about it. There's a number of ways you can keep it from sliding around, but this, you could see how the vacuum pulled. It's flat. There was not really a lot of chance for it to slide around, but look how long. It's still at 24. So I'm not sure what it came factory set to, but you can set the level you want for when it will recharge. It'll re-kick on when it drops to a certain level, which I think you want it around 20 pounds here. I mean, that's a good pressure, and then it would kick on and bring it back to 25 and automatically kick off. That's one of the really nice features of this pump. And I like how it's so quiet. This is the best stage of owning a vacuum press, is when it's new, because you don't have any holes and it holds the vacuum really well. So it's ultra quiet. All right.
Yeah,
well,
it's awesome. Congratulations.
How about that, huh? So, hey.
We hope you guys enjoy it with us.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, Daryl's a friend now of ours, and he's been a friend of mine for years, but he's officially, done this, and it's going to help us to show even better veneering techniques. And man, you could get a lot in this bag, so I'm excited to try it out. So if you do end up connecting with them, please put in a good word. Say, this is where you heard about it. He might enjoy knowing that
it's
too.
Good for the connection.
So. And well, thank you so much for hanging out a little bit and sharing my joy of my new toy. And we'll have to wait for Christmas for another big one, I guess.